G'day and welcome back to Painting with Riffsley. I'm painting the big old grey fence post. I called it that because I'm trying to get the focal point to be that fence post. I want your eye to be led up to it. It's not that it's the most interesting thing in the painting, but I want to direct you up to the top of the hill to that fence post. That's my main focus here. I had a dream of a view looking up a embankment, and I saw the fence and fence post and a big puffy white cloud. That was my dream, and I went, yeah, I'm going to paint that. Maybe it was because of painting I did a couple of weeks ago. I had a fence post and a big bank, a whole lot of posts, telegraph poles. So that's what I'm trying to do here. That's red oxide, and I've put that on. I've got my puffy cloud, my blue sky already, and I have no reference, so it's just a dream painting, so no photograph. So I'm wiping it back. You can see there, just like the last week, if you watched it or not, that I scrubbed it all, I wiped it all back like it was wet oil paint. So I'm trying to do a bit of that with this. This is acrylic. It dries very quickly. A couple of tea towels on there. I was spraying it with water, and I didn't want it to ruin the sky. I went to a lot of trouble to get that sky nice and even and flat, which I kind of ruined that. It doesn't matter. So I'm just pushing this paint around. I think there's maybe Payne's grey in there, red oxide, maybe some burnt umber. Push it around and see if I can find some forms, the clods of dirt, rocks, bushes. So just push it around. You'll see, when you look at it, you'll see, oh, that looks like a bit of a bush there, and then try and pull it out. Oh, that looks like a big rock there. You let it talk to you. Hopefully that's the idea anyway. They're nice dark earthy tones there. As I worked on this more and more, the colour got to me. I went on, don't like the blue and it's clashing with the hill. So then I spent a lot of time trying to resolve that. Not too bad here. And you'll see the colour goes, starts to clash a little bit. Green, red and blue can be quite difficult, and I'm working with, I added on a lot of orange as a contrast to that blue sky. I haven't done it yet. That's sepia and yellow ochre, black and white, pulling rocks out. Looks like a lot of rocks there. And of course the yellow grass, that grass. Of course it's an Australian landscape. I've been all around the world, but I always paint this. Well, I did Japan, didn't I? But I always paint Australian landscapes. Oh, that's not true at all. I did the maple trees, but mainly Australian landscape. Telegraph poles, fences, rocks, hills, dirt. That's me. Now I've got it right away from a photograph. People say, oh, that looks just like a photograph. I thought it was a photograph. Well, I want people to go, oh, that looks like a painting. Nice painting. If they go, that looks like a photograph. Well, I haven't achieved much of a style then. Only the ability to copy a photograph. So, went for my imagination and dreams, getting a photograph and kind of sketching it out, then getting rid of that photograph and putting your own stamp on it. That's art. Copying photographs might look clever, but it's just, you're just a copying machine. And people are very good at copying things, but, and you'll go, oh, that's very clever, but it's not particularly creative. Picking the photograph maybe, but coming up with something from your imagination entirely is where art really comes from, and that's the tricky bit. Being consistent, and that's where you're going to get a style from. You do that all the time, people look at your work and they go, I recognise that, I know who painted that. If you just copy photographs, they won't. And you'll be all over the shop. One day it'll be a nice photograph of a tree, next day it'll be a baby. Yeah. What am I up to here? Now I've added a lot of orange in there. Now I think the colour I'm not happy with is the burnt umber, that brown. It's like a shoe leather brown. So I've got to get rid of that. It's good for shoes, but it doesn't look good on a painting. I've also got dead trees on there. There's very little green, a little green bush over there. So I decided to put some green in here, green and red, and put some foliage on the trees. So add some grass, getting the green in there. Put a big S, you can see a big S from the top of the hill coming down. You're supposed to follow that up to the post at the top of the hill. Remember that post up there where the cloud is? The cloud's kind of pointing towards it. The fence goes along to it. It's almost, I think it's the highest point of the hill. Come up the hill. If your eye follows that up to the hill to there, the rocks lead you up. Trees pointing to it. This muddy bank here is kind of pointing uphill. Now, I should start about here. There we go, adding the trees. Now I decided to make those wattle trees. They're bright yellow. There's the yellow grass going in. And that's kind of going down along the bottom and up towards the top of the hill, making the rocks quite green there. I push them back, make them grey and dark blue. And I showed this picture to someone. They said, oh, that's a real fantasy land. So I started to think like that. I thought, oh, I'll make it a bit more fanciful. Little fantasy land, like a fairyland. No fairies. Got a bit carried away. Got super colourful. Make a good illustration for a children's book or something. It's a bit like a cartoon there. So I added the flowers in. Zoomed in pretty close there. Here trying to avoid the glare, so I tried some different angles. Now should be able to see the mushrooms. There they are. There's a close-up of the mushrooms. Only tiny. So a few flowers to lead your eye up the side, rocks across the top and up to that post. Now I've knocked out all that burn umber, I've knocked that right back, so I quite like the colour now. That kind of grew on me. Took a while before I decided I was happy with it. Fantasy, look, I've put a few rabbits in there. I thought that bottom right hand corner was a bit making something a bit boring, so I thought I'd put it. Don't want it to be the focal point, but I'd add some interest to it. I'm just tidying up that tree around the tree. And I add a bit of blue to those rocks in the shadow side. And a giant magpie. The repainting needs a giant magpie. And when you look at the cloud, it almost looks like a bird too. Now, there's black crows up the top. Pretty well pulled straight out of my granite boulders painting. Fantasyland. Thanks for watching. See you later.